Hey everyone, and today I'm going to be showing you how to change out the brakes on an '06 Porsche, or a Porsche, however you want to say it. And whenever you go get the brakes, they're probably going to ask you if you have black, silver, or red calipers. The black caliper, I believe, is a 12.9, the silver is a 13.7, and the red is a 14.9. So with this one being silver, I have the 13.7 inch rotors. So once you get your wheel off and everything, you get it supported, you're going to need to take this pin out that's holding on the brake pads. Now, there's a 13mm nut on the back side. You'll loosen that up, and then you'll need to drive this pin out. Now, this pin only goes out one way. Now, with how much brake dust is on here, they're always really tough to get out. And you'll have a problem with this clip right here. I normally get 2 screwdrivers, and I wedge it between here to push the retaining spring back in a little bit, and then I drive the pin out. You might need to clean this up or take some compressed air, but it will make a lot of dust whenever you take them out. Also, the sensor right here, I highly suggest that you go ahead and change these. If you already have your brake light showing on your dash saying that your brakes are worn, then you've probably already started eating into the sensors, so you're going to have to replace them anyway. Over time, they just get really dirty and worn, and it's just best to replace them. They don't cost that much from the local parts store. Whenever you're taking these sensors off, they're just taking some little clips, and then they pull off from the caliper right here up above. Now, this is the front brakes. Up above right here, it's attached around the bleeder. So whenever you take the cap off the bleeder, the wire comes off. And then up here on the connector, you don't have to pull the connector off from the arm over there. All you gotta do is stick a screwdriver underneath here. This is supposed to be a squeeze clip, but I usually put the screwdriver up in here like this, kind of wiggle a little bit, and start pulling on that sensor. And you can see it wiggling out, and it comes out pretty easily. It doesn't really matter if you mess this one up whenever you're replacing it, so you don't even have to take this out on this side. If you did want to take this one out on this side, on the receiving side, then you would have to twist the sensor around to pull it out of its bracket. Now, once you get this pin out, you'll need to clean up the whole assembly, but it might take you a little bit to get this out because of so much brake dust and everything being up in there. Now, I put the screw back in there just a little bit, and then I'm going to tap it, and you can see the pin breaking loose right here. Now, if you see this little spring, retaining spring right there, you might have to put a screwdriver on both sides to kind of flex it back in. Now, you don't want to bend it because the new brakes normally don't come with these unless you buy a premium set. But you can flex this back in. You can actually hold the screwdrivers right there and then go and start driving out the pin to get it over that ledge. Once it gets up and over that ledge, you can see how the ledge went up and over the side of the clip. The rest of the way is pretty easy. It might take you a little bit to break this loose because all this brake dust in here is holding that in. The other thing I want to mention is that you can take your pry bar like this and squeeze between the brake pads. Just push the rotors back out. Or not the rotors, but push the caliper pistons back in so you don't have to worry about spreading them out once you get the brakes out. Because once you get this pin out, then this is going to come apart pretty easily. Now, if for some reason you just can't get this pin out, you might have to clean it up some more, spray some lubricant on there, or get you a longer bolt that matches a bolt that came out of the end. If you screw a longer bolt in there, screw it in quite a bit because you don't want to mess up the threads on the pin. But then you can turn around and hit the pin out pretty easily like that, and then just simply unbolt it. So once you have most of that out, then you should be able to keep pulling on this until you get it out, but you can tell that this is definitely got dirt on the end of it right here, or brake dust. And I'll have to wiggle that out. I'll probably get a pair of pliers on there to go ahead and pull it on out. So now I have a pair of pliers, I was able to pull it out. So now you can take that over to your grinder or whatever you need to use to clean this off. Go ahead and clean it off. Until, for the most part, it's all clean. And that way it'll go back in the hole pretty smoothly. So once you get that pin out, this whole assembly will Just comes straight out, brake pads, spring, and everything. Now you'll need to clean up the spring before you install it back on with a drill. Once you run that back in, then the pin will slide in without any issues. Very easily to go back in. Now if your rotors need to be turned, then you'll need to take the caliper off. There's the 2 bolts, one on each side, to be able to pull the caliper on off, and then there's a retaining bolt hanging on to the rotor, and you'll need to slide it off and go get them turned. Then go ahead and put you some lubricant where the caliper piston's set, and then also where the pin stopper is, and then slide them right back in. Do that to both sides. So I've got the spring retainer, a little bit of lube on it, a little bit of lube on this pin. Slide it back up in there, start sliding the pin in, put some pressure on there until you get the pin all the way in. Just like that. So once you get the pin in, go ahead and reinstall your retaining bolt and torque it down. Now the back is slightly different. You'll take a screwdriver, go down back behind here, and go to where the sensor connector is. Do the same thing as you did on the other side, and just slide the connector out just like that. Then it has a little spring clip right there that you'll need to remove. Now don't lose this, because you will save it and reuse it. Once you do that, you'll have to drive this pin out this way. And you can go ahead and take your electrical out through the gap like that, and then go ahead and spread your pads out. Pretty much you need to go all the way out, because you're putting new pads in there. And get you a punch like this to punch the pin out. Now you do need to pay attention to orientation on the front. These were on the bottom. On this one, the retainer for the sensor is on the top. Once you get that pin out, you'll be able to remove the pads as a complete assembly. And then you can get your new pads and start reinstalling them. Same as the front. If they need to be turned, then go ahead and take the calipers off. There's a couple bolts hanging onto it. And then there's probably a retaining torque bolt that holds the rotor on that you'll need to remove to get the rotors turned. Just like the front, you'll need to clean all your hardware, the spring clip, the pin, clean the journal in here. This the pin for the back is smaller than the front, so it's going to take a smaller brush to go through there. And then you're going to need to take your new pads and go ahead and put the proper lubricant on there and get them reassembled. Once you have everything properly lubed and cleaned, you go ahead and slide it right back into position. Once the pin is cleaned, it'll probably slide right back in there pretty easily. See how easy that went? Do the same as the way that you did the front, just put a slight bit of lubricant on there. You don't want to put so much that it slings off, just enough to at the contact point. Slide it up there, just like that. And then go ahead and slide the pin in. You can hold, try to make sure that the hole for the cotter pin is in the upright position. And go ahead and slide it all the way in. sets there. Go ahead and put the cotter pin back in. Now you're ready to go ahead and install your electrical. Whenever you slide it in, position it back in, put it back into the, connect the electrical plug back in. So whenever you get your new sensor wiring, you basically just take it, put it in there the way that it was, you put it into the slot, and you can press it straight in. Once you press it straight in, just press it all the way down as far as it'll go. Bring the wire up and around, attach it through where it clips to right there. Just be careful not to hurt it or anything. And come over here, do the same for the opposite side. Push it all the way down into the brake pad. Line it through the caliper mount, and then turn the plug and place it back up into where it was connected at originally. Push that connector up in there all the way up until it fully seats down, and just make sure that there's nothing binding or anything, and that's how you install the rear brake pad sensor. So once you get that sensor in on both the rear brakes, then you've completed the rear brake install. So since you've gotten the back done, now you go to the front, take the front wiring, install it just the same way that you installed the back into the little slot right there. You might hear a little click, but once you push it in, just make sure both sides are seated all the way down. Put your wiring back where it needs to go, slide it into the caliper just like you did for the back. Do the same thing on the opposite side. Right now I'm on the driver's side, but you want to do the same thing for the passenger side. Once you get that routed, go back up to the top side right here where your bleeder screw is. Put the cable underneath it, close that cap, and then reattach the electrical line right into the original position until you hear it click, or make sure it's completely seated, and then that's how you put your new sensors on. And just to show you the part numbers, this one right here was for the front. There's a part number right there. And then this one right here was for the back brakes. And there's a part number right there. So once you get all your sensors on, then you're pretty much done with your brake pad replacement. So just keep in mind that every vehicle is different, so the process that you have to do might be different than what I just showed you in this video. But other than that, thanks for watching the video today. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for me, like it, share it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Stay tuned for more videos, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching again.